Now we can look at an interesting combination that comes in over the first theme. First of all, let's find that section. At this point, I'd like to add a fall down, so I'll use the trumpet first. Here, marked in red, we can see the available key switches. And one tip we would suggest is printing those key switches out, so that you have a visual reminder of what each key does. A couple of interesting key switches available to us are the vibrato-like ending in both long and short versions. If I play a bit, you can hear just how important these endings are. This is extremely typical of how a horn player will end a phrase. So I'd like to use this in our next example. And of course, this makes it somewhat more difficult to perform. I'll play an idea for this section now. Having heard it, you can clearly hear that this is something that would require more practice than other sections. So, it's important that you not only learn what the key switches do, but also practice using them. One option that you might use occasionally would be to record the key switches afterwards. To demonstrate this, I'll record the trumpet without key switches, and then I'll overdub the key switches afterwards. So this does work, but obviously it's an extra step, and if you can perform the key switches directly, then your workflow will be better. Now I'll record a small section. The downside to recording with the key switches and controlling the breath controller is that occasionally my timing is somewhat off. So these notes, which also include a note that shouldn't be there, can be edited to improve the timing. So now that the trumpet is more or less okay, I'll move on to the alto saxophone. The alto saxophone is a swam instrument, and there are a couple of issues that we have to point out here. The first one is that the key switches are not in the same places as they are on, for example, the trumpet. So, you have to learn these ones separately. Also, the vibrato comes from the modulation wheel. The solution for me is to overdub the modulation wheel afterwards. So first, let's record the saxophone without vibrato. And now I'll add the modulation wheel. So now let's check that in solo. Now we come to the tenor saxophone. I started playing an octave too low, so let's go again, an octave higher. And then, of course, we overdub the modulation wheel to create the vibrato. And now the trombone. This is like the trumpet, where the modulation wheel no longer controls vibrato, but vibrato is controlled via a key switch. So let's listen in solo. We can hear that the section is very lively. Each instrument adds to the arrangement. Now we can combine the modulation and the note data using the glue tool. This is important to help with editing. If the data is combined, then we can see the notes and the modulation data together on the editor page. The timing on that first note was a touch off, so I'll fix it. And then we can listen to the section again. Along with the backing track. Of course, we are not saying that you can simply replace a real horn section with virtual instruments. But certainly when experimenting or creating sections, you can get wonderful ideas using these virtual instruments, and in many situations, these will be perfectly adequate and can sound excellent within a piece of music. In addition to this, you can learn a lot by working with these virtual instruments, and that will help you when arranging for real instruments. The sample modeling library is, in our opinion, the most realistic available right now. Certainly for pop and funk use, it works much better than the more classically inclined VSL library. So hopefully that has shown you what you can achieve when using virtual instruments in pop, soul and funk music.